What is going on, everybody? It is the T. What is going on, everybody? It is the T in TKG. And I am not happy. I am not happy. I will start off. I am a huge Nebraska football fan. I am not happy. Nebraska football is easily, out of all the teams I like, between the Dodgers, the Lakers, the Broncos, the LA Kings, and the LA Galaxy, they are easily my most faithful team because it was the first live sporting event I went to, and the atmosphere at that stadium is amazing. Win or loss, that atmosphere at that stadium is amazing, but I digress. How many years am I going to have to sit here and have hope after hope after hope after hope to just see Nebraska beat themselves? It's happened pretty much since Mike Riley and Scott Frost came through. Because Bo Pelini had the program. They were getting 8, 9 wins a season, going to bowl games and even winning some. And everybody called for Bo's job because they didn't like how he acted. I'm personally friends with a player who played for Bo, and he loved him as a coach, would run through a wall for him. And then we went to Mike Riley, who was a tire fire. He ran the program into the ground. And then we went to Scott Frost, who poured gasoline on the fire. And then we've handed the program to Coach Rule. Now, with Coach Rule, I think we finally have a football coach because he's turned programs around everywhere he's gone. At Temple, he turned it around in 3 years. At Baylor, he turned it around in 3 years, even after the scandal that they had. If anybody can turn Nebraska around, it's Matt Rule. But he needs time. Now let's get to talking about Nebraska at Colorado today. It was a blowout, and you might think the defense didn't play well, but I really don't put that much fault on the defense. I mean, they were tired. When your quarterback is responsible for 5 turnovers, you're not going to win the game. In a game where Nebraska's defense had 8 sacks. 8. And this is before the clock hit 0. 8 sacks. Normally, in any football game, if your team gets 8 sacks, the quarterback is flustered, which Sanders was for a little while. And Travis Hunter really wasn't doing that much at first. There was a different receiver that was lighting it up, but they were getting to Sanders, and they almost made him fumble the football. The defense was playing out of their minds, but the offense just could not get out of their way. And that is 100% on Jeff Sims. He had 2 fumbles. No, he had 3. All 3 fumbles that he was responsible for, there was no pressure on him because he is the starting quarterback and he couldn't catch a snap. I understand a weird snap and not being able to get it because it happened to the Broncos in the Super Bowl. They had a weird snap, and then we know how that went. But he had 2 of them. He had so many bad snaps that Matt Rule considered benching him, but brought him back out there. And they wouldn't let him go out of the shotgun very much. Let's forget about the fact that Jeff Sims can't throw a ball into the ocean. He can't. When the commentators on there are stating that they should consider putting a different quarterback into the game other than Jeff Sims, when the game was still intact at halftime, 13-0, and the defense still played really well after half and after they came out. But they send Jeff Sims back out there, and it looks like there's life. And he runs for a touchdown, and it looks like there's life because it's 7-13, and then the Nebraska defense gives up they gave up They had a bad drive. They were starting to get tired. They gave up like a 40-plus yard pass, which led to some other things, which led to a score. Now, with that pass, the defender didn't even seem like he ran with him, or he just got beat. But I'm not mad at that because it happens. They had played out of their minds every other part of that aspect. And then we get to another Nebraska drive, and Jeff Sims gets the ball under center because they no longer allowed him to get it out of the shotgun. And he goes to hand it off to our running back, Irving, and he doesn't have it in the right spot. So Irving goes to grab the ball, and Jeff Sims has it low, and it runs right into his arms and comes out. And that fumble was counted towards the running back, but it is still the quarterback's fault. He is responsible for the snap, and until that ball gets into the hands of the running back, he is responsible to put it there. He could not even get that done. And he had a terrible interception. After the first fumble in the first quarter, not the first quarter, the first half, all he had to do was run the ball. Because that fumble resulted in a field goal by Colorado, and it's 3-0, no big deal. He gets the ball back, and then he looks and goes through his progressions, and he looks at a receiver. Now, he looks at Thomas Fedoni, a tight end, who, if he'd have thrown it as he cut out into the route, he would have been just open enough to where only his tight end could get it. But he waits, and then he throws it, and the receiver cuts the route and catches an interception. He's responsible for more turnovers this year for a total of 8 or 9. That is a third. A little under a third. No, I'm sorry, a little over a third between the amount of points that we scored. This was a blowout loss, 36-14, and I blame at least 85% of this on Jeff Sims beating us ourselves. This Colorado offense took off in the second half. They gave up 13 points in the first half to this high-flying Colorado offense that beat the runner-up national champion. By the second half, or into the third quarter, when Jeff Sims couldn't even move the ball or throw it into the ocean, he was gassed. They put the ball in the hands of him when our running backs were starting to get a rhythm going. They were running the ball. Some of them getting 7, 8 plus yards a carry. We were averaging like 5 yards a carry. For the game in our rushing, we averaged 5 yards a carry. 5.4 yards a carry. I don't even want to know what Jeff Sims' quarterback rating is. And the only touchdown pass came from our second string quarterback, who was 2 for 6 because he was thrown out there in garbage time. I think it's time that Coach Rule and the offensive staff take a real close look at what they have at quarterback and see that we really have more of a wide receiver than we do quarterback. I think they thought they were going to have more of a Lamar Jackson kind of situation. That's not happening. Lamar is 1,000 times better than what Jeff Sims is. Sims is terrible. He is arguably the worst Nebraska quarterback I have seen in a very long time. I liked what I saw in Casey Thompson, but he wasn't mobile enough for Matt Rule's offense. I liked what we had in Armstrong. He was amazing. Adrian Martinez, I think in Matt Rule's offense would have done much better because I think Adrian just had a terrible coach. We saw what he did when he transferred to Kansas State. And now he's in the NFL, albeit not a starter, but he's on a roster. I think if he stays in the Scott Frost Nebraska offense, had they kept him, he would not even have been eligible to be a Walmart greeter. But he did what was best for him and went to Kansas State. Jeff Sims, I think, is the worst starting quarterback between all the ones I've seen from Armstrong to now. That's not counting the bench that came in and filled in. But he is easily the worst quarterback I've seen. He can't throw the ball accurately. When he can't run, which is what Colorado did to him today, they made it so that he couldn't run that well. He had one big run for a touchdown. They made it so that he could not just take off with the ball. And he looked lost. This was embarrassing because Nebraska's team on the defensive side played well enough to win the game in the first half. Obviously, Jeff Sims beat him in that, but they played really well. I wouldn't say they played well enough to win the game, but had we just been able to move the ball a little bit and take care of it, because our running backs didn't fumble it this week. But to have be responsible for 8 turnovers in 2 weeks and to only be able to put up 24 points. He's responsible for 8 to 9 turnovers. That's either a third, that's depending on which one you carry, that's a third. A third of what we have. There's a reason the hashtag wasn't 23 hours. It's 24. Because they are an excellent recruiting staff. The next quarterback they're bringing in, I think he is going to be great. He is a quarterback out of my alma mater with 2 very talented receivers. He can throw on the run. He's very accurate. I've watched the tape. I like what I see with how he plays. We have another individual by the name of Malachi Coleman coming in who, honestly, I think can play both sides of the ball. They might end up switching his position to defensive end just because of how he is and how he's built, but he's going to be a great athlete. I really do think that all of our players we have coming in next year will see a little bit of improvement, but this year is close to a loss. It's early on in the year, so maybe we can figure something out. I think Nebraska can win the next 2 games at home, and then they'll lose to Michigan, Illinois, and then they got Northwestern and Purdue at home. I think they have a chance at beating Purdue. So if they can beat Louisiana Tech or State, let me check. I'm just gonna look at their schedule. Okay, so next week they have Northern Illinois, and then after that they have Louisiana Tech games, both at home. I think they're gonna win both of those games, and at this point, I just want to see a win. I don't care by how much. And then I think it'll be the typical Michigan scrimmage. It'll look twice as bad as Colorado. Yeah, I think we'll win those 2 games, and then we'll lose to Michigan. We might upset Illinois, but I heavily doubt it. So we'll be 2-4 entering our game against Northwestern and Purdue. I think we can win both of those games. And I will just be the non-objective fan here and say we will win both of those games. And then we play Michigan State, Maryland, Wisconsin, and Iowa, with Maryland and Iowa being our home games. Now, Michigan State, they're 1-0 right now, but I'm not sure how well they're going to do overall. I do think we have a chance at beating Michigan State. I do. We always play them close, and I think we have a chance at winning. So it might very well come down to that Nebraska-Iowa game for bowl eligibility. And I guess luckily enough for us, it's at home, but they do have a solid tight end room always, and then they got the Michigan backup quarterback from last year, who is no scrub. He is no scrub. But in total, back to Jeff Sims. He, in total, has thrown for 220 yards. Sanders today threw for more than he has. Actually, he has over 3 times the amount of yards that Sims has. He is going to be great. He is an NFL quarterback, and Travis Hunter is amazing on the defensive and offensive side. Nebraska's defense played as well as they could in the first 3 quarters. They got gassed because the offense couldn't move the ball. I think it's time that Coach Matt Rule and his coaching staff make a decision. Do we go with the turnover machine that has electric speed but can't throw the football into the ocean? Or do we go with our second string quarterback and see what we have? We have 2 games that are very winnable that would not be a bad idea to test him out against. But based off what I saw between Jeff Sims and our second string quarterback, I liked the second string a whole lot more. I don't care if it was in garbage time. I liked what I saw more. I know this was kind of a sloppy video because I just went on and on and on and on and on. But I had to get this out somehow. I will be doing more videos like this on all kinds of teams. The Broncos, the Lakers, the Dodgers, playoff games for basketball and football, college football big games, college football playoff games, every Nebraska game. So if you like these videos and you like my rants, which I appreciate it if you do, if you like what you see, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. Peace out.